How we doing, folks? We're out here on the DJI Action 5 Pro and the GoPro Hero 13. These are the new action cameras for this year. This is DJI's 5th action camera generation. This is GoPro's 13th, obviously. This is the first action camera that DJI has put out that has the Pro name. So we're gonna compare both of these. The daily driver for me for the last few years has been the GoPro. So I am eager to see how the footage stacks up. We have them in pretty much the same modes. I'll go over all that in a second. We got our Sur e-bike. We're going to do a little bit of testing, and this lighting we have right now, it is, I don't have my watch, it's about 6 p.m. 6:16, so 2 hours till it's actually dark. We'll do a little bit of testing in both. We're gonna test battery life, overall how the footage feels for point of view riding, see which one you guys like more. All right, so we have the Action 5 mounted on the top of the visor. I feel like that's a better position for the testing that I've done with this camera already. We have the GoPro 13 where I usually have it mounted on the chin. First thing I want to show you guys is the quick start time. Both of these cameras have been turned on in the last like hour or two. I noticed that does make a difference. Take the Action 5, you haven't used it in a few days, you put a new battery in, it still takes a couple seconds, but the way I've been using it, if you know you're about to shoot soon, just start it up before you actually get out and shoot. Then when you get out and shoot, the fast capture is extremely quick, like so. Here we go. I'm gonna press. It's less than a second before it starts recording, extremely fast. We just turned the GoPro on a few minutes ago. Now we're gonna hit quick capture on the GoPro. 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to say about 6 seconds. You can tell by this number right here. I want to say it was closer to 5 seconds before this said 1. That's when the recording actually starts. It takes about 4 seconds for the camera to turn on, 5, maybe 6 to start recording. Big benefit for the DJI Action 5 Pro, very fast, quick recording. GoPro, still pretty slow. Anyways, from here on out, we're pretty much gonna be on both of these cameras. They're set up about the same, 4K 60p. This one's in hyperview. This is in the widest field of view it offers. They're both in the normal 10-bit color mode. Both have stabilization on, about as even as you can get. So we're just gonna get out and get some footage. It's kind of a cloudy day, but that's the conditions we're in. So that's how we're gonna test these cameras. Let's get to it. All right, folks, getting things started. On the DJI Action 5 Pro up top, we have the GoPro 13 down below. Both are in 4K 60p. Both of these cameras are in their widest field of view, and we're using bone stock audio. Everything is on auto as far as that. This should be a pretty fair comparison. It is. I expected it to be a beautiful afternoon out here, but to be fair, we're just gonna shoot in the conditions that we have. It is super foggy. It looks like a proper winter afternoon, even though we're still in September. It's technically still summer. It's cold and chilly out here in LA. We're gonna start off in normal mode for both of these cameras. GoPro has this other color profile called Vibrant. The 3 modes we're gonna test very quickly are normal mode, the HLG HDR, we're gonna go over by the park and try that out, and then we're gonna try out the D-Log, which I've already tested a little bit with the Action 5 Pro and was super impressed. My favorite action camera footage I think I've ever seen was out of the Action 5 Pro in D-Log. I was stunned when I first checked out the footage I got. So real quick, let's talk about some of the similarities and differences between these two cameras. So the DJI Action 5 Pro records up to 4K 60p. The GoPro records up to 5.3K, I believe 60p. The GoPro gets a slight edge there. But it's actually been shocking to me personally how fast DJI has closed the gap on these little cameras. It's pretty much, excuse me, it's pretty much neck and neck at this point. I would say it was not quite neck and neck with the last gen, the 12 and the 4. I still preferred the GoPro 12. Now, the main problem I had with the Action 4 was that the daytime footage just wasn't up to par for me. That was kind of like an opinion thing. A lot of people believed it was just fine for their uses. I think it was kind of like a hit or miss. If you cared about certain things out of the quality of your footage, you would probably, you know, be a little bit pickier. I'm a very picky person when it comes to my footage quality. Gotta be honest, I've been pretty disappointed in GoPro for the last few gens. They really just have not been moving the needle at all. As opposed to DJI, where it's like they are actively trying really hard to move the needle and listen to fan feedback. They're like actively listening to all the complaints that people have and acting upon it, which that alone I commend for them doing that, because they don't have to. As evidenced by GoPro, they can just like phone it in every year and still have a product to put out. But they're really trying to put out something good and better than what they had last year. Now, I gotta give GoPro some credit here too. They're finally doing something that's a little different with the filters. I like the ND filters. We don't have any to test at this time. This is just a direct test of both the capabilities of the cameras. So the GoPro has an anamorphic lens. It has a max lens mod, which now you can just slap it onto the camera as opposed to having to put it on and then go into the settings and then change the camera mode to max lens mode and then start recording. And then when you take it back off, you have to take it back out of max. It was just a complete mess. Now it's automatic, which is how it should have been from the first place. The other clever thing they have is the ND filters. They're automatic. They detect the settings of where it thinks the camera should be in, like it determines the exposure. That's a bunch of stuff that I think there's a certain crowd that will appreciate, but for like, let's say 80% of users, like they don't care. Like I'm kind of the crowd that should appreciate all those tools, and like I kind of don't care. There's already been ND filters for GoPros. I've used them before. It's nice that they're automatic now. There's the max lens mod. I own that. I didn't really like how it looked. The max lens mod it's a very particular wide angle. Like it's almost like a 360 camera. How it makes everything like it gives me kind of like motion sickness. I was really excited for that too, so I was kind of upset when it wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. And lastly, the last thing that I'll give GoPro points for is the wider field of view straight out of camera. We're in the widest field of view that this camera has, which is hyperview. I do like hyperview a lot. This is the main thing that I love about these cameras, is the wider field of view. It is the last thing that a DJI needs to replicate in order to be like completely neck and neck with this camera, I'd say. That's it. It's intentional that they're not doing the super wide field of view like the GoPro is. Like one thing you'll notice, like when we go through here, look at the edges of the frame on the GoPro. Like they're probably very distorted. Things are bent in weird ways. A lot of people are not fans of that. DJI is trying to have an action camera that has as little distortion as possible, which technically also means that it has to have a lens that is not as wide as the GoPro, because once you get a wider lens, things start getting more distorted. You get barrel distortion, which is when things start curving. The fisheye look. Oh, that's the good stuff about the GoPro. Now the DJI, a ton of things that I love about it. The first thing is the colors. They finally nailed the colors. The sensor in the DJI 5 Pro is phenomenal. It's got great sharp detail. This is the low light beast that I think people have been waiting for as far as out of an action camera. A lot of people think they want a 1-inch sensor. I personally don't, for reasons that I could get into. Like right now, the camera would probably be focused on my handlebar, and everything behind that would be like a little bit blurry. DJI has the best microphones in an action camera, period. And it's not even close. It is insane, the quality of audio that you get from this DJI Action 5 Pro straight out of camera. Now, you do have the option to connect a mic 2, which I tested in my other video. I'll put in a clip of that here. And since I have this paired already, the pairing process is very simple. It should automatically connect, and now we're on the DJI mic 2. I'm gonna go ahead and clip this in. And you see that, the little fuzzy guy? That usually does a great job of keeping the wind audio at bay. But yeah, so that really impressed me because you can hot swap. So say I was recording right now, if I had the mic, which I don't, I could just take it out, turn it on, and if it's already paired to the camera, it'll automatically swap. So I could literally be in the middle of this ride, turn that mic on, then I'm getting audio through the mic. I can clip it onto my shirt if I'm going through somewhere loud or whatever is going on. Having an external mic like that is useful for tons of scenarios, that's pretty self-explanatory. Whoa. I was ready to get my ankle. Me personally, I am a guy who I like to use these cameras as bare as possible. I hate plugging stuff in. I hate putting on filters. None of that really interests me. I just want to capture the stuff that's going on. So there's that. The second thing that is very personal to my use case is the operability of these cameras. Now, I have had problems with pretty much every generation of GoPro that I kind of like, it's not really relevant to anything that I do in my video, so I never talk about it, but I constantly have them freeze on me. I've lost entire shoots because the way I film is I turn the camera on, right? And I understand not everybody's like this. I hit record and then I just start recording everything that happens the entire ride. Like I record everything. I'm not just recording segments like they're planned. I'm recording the entire ride. So GoPros, they overheat, they freeze sometimes, and they freeze and you lose all your footage. Or the worst one, which is a bug that I've had with every generation of GoPro, and it still haunts me to this day, is when everything works fine, but then you press record to end the recording, and then it starts beeping like it ended the recording, and you think it's fine, but then you look at it and the red light is frozen and the screen is frozen, and guess what? The camera froze and you lost your entire clip. Yeah, I've probably cried myself to sleep over that bug happening multiple times, and I've had it happen on every GoPro. Now I skipped the GoPro 8 and 9. I thought they were bad, but I have owned the 10, 11, and the 12, and now we have the 13. It's happened on all of them. I think now may be the round where they figure out the bugs, but I guess we'll have to see. I just got this camera today, so we're gonna be testing it over some time. How do these scenes look, by the way? I'm gonna through this whole video, I've been switching back and forth between which camera is which, so you guys can tell me which one you like better ultimately. All right, we now have both cameras in HLG HDR. Basically, it's an HDR mode that is true HDR. HDR is a way to film in that exposes for bright and dark areas at the same time. I don't ever really use it, but here is a comparison of both of these cameras' HLG HDR capabilities if you're interested. All right, we're now going directly into the sunlight. Both of these cameras are on the log setting. Now, I've never actually shot with log on a GoPro, so I'm kind of intrigued to see how this turns out. The one strength the GoPro has, obviously, is its color. That's what it is renowned for. It always has great color straight out of camera. I've never really shot log, so this is a challenging scene for any camera, is going straight into the sun, especially when we're approaching golden hour, but we're not quite there yet. It's like, it's the hardest scene to render as far as colors, so kind of interested to see how that looks. We're going to turn into this mall, hit a quick lap around, see how it looks. Log colors, we already saw the DJI has insane colors. The log is definitely this camera's strength. Let's go under here. It's a little bit darker down here. For shooting with the Action 5 Pro, I would genuinely shoot it in log pretty much all the time. There's not any situation where I would want to shoot anything other than log after I saw how good it looks. It is phenomenal. It's just, it blew me away. As someone who doesn't really shoot log because it's just one extra step in the editing process, I learned that it's very easy to do if you use Premiere. It's a one-click process. You just hit this button called auto. Now, log is not for everybody, so it's not the way that I'm judging both these cameras straight up. Of course, we had to do most of the testing in normal mode, but I gotta say, the log footage out of the 5 Pro is astounding. I'm sure it's no slouch out of the GoPro either. I'm actually very excited to go home and take a look at this. So there's that. Let me know which footage you guys like better down below. We're in the valley and it is peak traffic time, so you know how that goes. We're going to try and wrap around. There's actually a little off-road trail right there. That should be a good shot coming out of the underpass into the bright lights of the valley. Both of these cameras have slow mode. I don't really film anything in slow mode. If you can't tell, the footage that I'm showing in this comparison is stuff that I would actually do in film. And they both have what I assume to be solid log footage. The last thing we're gonna do is test the night footage. Let's pop it up. All right, last thing we're gonna test out is a little bit of night footage between both of these cameras. We're in the same area we just filmed the afternoon segment in. We're gonna go through a somewhat brightly lit area. This is kind of the dark part, so let me know how this looks. Coming back in through the mall we were just at. Now this mall is super well lit, so it should look incredible on the Action. We took the Action on a little spin through Hollywood and the footage was phenomenal. Yeah, I couldn't believe how good it looked. GoPro has always been like decent when it comes to night footage. Never really astounding. It's always been like good enough. So I'm assuming it's still just good enough if I had to guess. Let's go ahead and pop through here. I'm interested to see how much detail we're going to see on either of these. The next street in front of us is super dark. I take it that both cameras. Let's go ahead and turn our headlight on. Let's see how much detail we get with the headlight with both these cameras. If I had to guess, the GoPro is coming up with next to nothing. The Action may be picking up quite a bit of what we see. The sensor they have in this thing is just crazy in low light. I don't know what they did to make it work as well as it does, but there you go. Which one is better in low light? Let me know down below. All right, folks, hope you enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments which camera you prefer. Do you have a preference for either one? Of course, you can find both these cameras linked in the description if you want to check them out. And lastly, don't forget to check out my website, hicksfan.com, where we do fun stuff over there as well. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Peace.